Hi guys, my name is Bardante, and today let's texturize John. If you're new here, John is the main character in the horror game I'm working on. It's a third-person game that I built in Unreal Engine. Recently, we've built all of the outfit and the hair for John. The only thing that wasn't done by me is the hands, ankles that we don't see, and the head, the face, because this is metahuman character, but everything else was replaced with mostly 3D scans of my own clothing. But yeah, it's unaltered with my awesome flashy orange heels on my boots right here. So all of this is going to change a lot. So yeah, right now John is right here. He's actually posed. If you haven't noticed, it's not his rest pose that was like this. It's still work in progress, the way I rig the character and all. Or not rig, I'm just making sure the model is skinned to the bones that I grabbed from MetaHuman, so then I would be able to export it and it would go ahead and work with the bones of the original MetaHuman. It should work. But yeah, right now what I'm gonna do is, and it's gonna be this first little task this evening for me, is to export all of these models, including the skin as well, and set it up for work in Substance Painter. Because that's where we're gonna work on actually adding specific like cloth textures to the jacket and the pants, and cleaning up and retexturing boots, because there's like normal maps from the stuff that we don't need anymore and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to finally, like, this is where, like, in the end of this video, we're getting the final look of John, like what I'm actually planning to see in the game, or at least in the demo level. So John will already be quite rough and dirty from the forest, because we kind of step into the story a little bit after it's been going on for some time. I'm gonna export this whole thing. Whoa, that is cool. Export all of this and see what happens. In terms of UVs, I actually wanted to make sure and maybe create other version to make sure it's easy to texturize things, but it turns out I already did that. So we can see that important stuff is aligned pretty well, either vertically or horizontally, if it was the only option, so to speak. But yeah, overall, I think if we apply like a procedural clothing texture to the jacket, it should line up nicely all over the model, because it's like all vertical or horizontal, so it should look pretty good. Same thing with the pants. Pants are even more like exactly for, you know, texturing to work. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and export everything in GLB probably, because I like GLB, and then I'll open it up in Substance and see if something doesn't work right, and I'll do it again and again. LOL. Okay, so apparently transparency needs to be set up for hair, but this skin texture is gonna drive me nuts one day. Oh my god, the teeth are even more insane. Yeah, also the hair looks really weird. At any distance, immediately the rendering engine of Substance Painter blends all the details of the normal map together, and they become these soft, glossy cards, when in reality they should look like this, and it would look much better. Not just normal mapping, also transparency is blended together, so they become like smooth, opaque cards. And I've set it up in Unreal Engine to have them look nice like actual hair at any distance. I explained this in the final part of the video about making hair cards. But yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna be possible to do it here. There is the quality setting right here in the shader settings, but like Ultra just changes the way the highlights are distributed, which I don't care much about. Well, I guess we shouldn't judge the hair from far away in Substance Painter. So I think I only need these. These two maps were selected in here as well. That's something you always need to do when you import a model to Substance Painter. Gotta bake some of those maps, so just bake everything and have it done. So yeah, we've got some ambient occlusion between the pants and the jacket, and in the hood and over there, looking good here as well. Nice. I think it's just like a visual thing. It's not really baked into the final product or anything. It will be used to apply all kinds of effects, though. If I'm gonna apply like dirt effect, it will be using like curvature map or ambient occlusion map sometimes as well. So all of that will play to our benefit, like all of this stuff. All right, so I got everything imported and projected, all the basic textures, except I had to remove the textures from the eyes, hair, and the face because of the issues with transparent objects, transparent maps that are not taken into account when you're projecting all of this. So yeah, it's not super necessary, especially considering I won't really be using that for hair or face. The metahuman parts, the skin parts, are actually very messed up when they're imported anyway, so but I think I can work just on like the base color texture. I'm sure it's not messed up at all. This is something I can work on. The problem with normal maps is that in Unreal Engine on the metahuman there's like, I think like 2 or 3 different normal maps that are blended together in a sophisticated way. And on export they're all just baked into one and it looks terrible. So it's completely destroyed in that regard anyway. But yeah, the color I can definitely alter, which is quite something. So yeah, I suppose we're all ready to start working here, which is what I'm gonna do in the morning in a second. Alright, this is the next day. I've imported the new hands into Blender, the hands of the appropriate LOD3, so the topology looks like this. This UV map is something I created myself right now, quickly unwrapping the existing islands. And I did that because originally the UV looked like this. And yeah, also there were little ankles in there. I deleted ankles because I literally won't need them. I have socks and boots and whatnot. But this UV map clearly was very much not optimal. And I believe that's because metahumans may have all kinds of different amount of exposed skin on the rest of the body, aside from the head. And that's why they keep it like this. Like if I would have a completely naked metahuman, they would have like the rest of the body, the torso, the legs, and the arms all over this particular map. But when you just have hands and ankles, they still take the same place on the map, and the rest is just empty. So I exported these hands baking 4K textures, and right now I created this other UV map that looks like this, and I'll just rebake the old, like this is a 4K texture that definitely doesn't provide an insane level of detail, it's just like normal. So it's sufficient to me for the character's hands, but it's definitely not worth wasting a 4K texture that's almost not used at all. So I'm gonna bake it using my Simple Bake plugin right here, and I'm gonna create a set of 2K textures. I think it's more than enough for 2 hands. Like we're most likely not gonna lose any detail with the new set of textures. Alright, looking good. Nice and, well, as sharp as it was, so that's good. Also, while I'm at it, let's remove some of these extra polygons. I kinda need these. I can cut into it, really, and just leave exactly the surface I need. Because that will affect, like, you know, there will be a greater surface that the engine would need to calculate some kind of, I don't know, transparent shadow on or whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna remove exactly what I don't need. I had this extra stuff in here because I thought maybe I'll add some extra stray hairs that are really close to the forehead, but it didn't turn out to be necessary. Okay, I think I'm just gonna keep it this way. No need to be too precise about it. I already twisted some of the edges and connected some of the points, but we can do it even more in here, for instance. Also, I shouldn't change too much because it might not perfectly bend with the neck later and there will be like texture clipping, so it's best to not really alter these things too much. By the way, so many of you guys recommended me to like switch from texturing like a separate, like this helmet of the bottom layer of the hair, and instead draw the hair straight on the skin texture on the head. I don't want to do that. I don't really like that idea because I'm pretty sure that UV map at this area has like a lot less texels than the face, you know, so it's like very squished, and hairs, like individual tiny hairs, will look very messed up when they're treated like that with a UV map that's not prioritizing the hairs. But most importantly, this base layer, at a certain close-up, it gives this parallax, and I really value that. Like, I think it's important because it's bad enough to just draw a flat layer of hairs, you know, like this is just one layer. It's not like each hair is not really sticking out, they're just hovering over the skin, and it's bad enough as it is, and like to actually draw it straight on the skin, that's like so bad. So I don't know, I think it works great, it looks great in the engine and everywhere, so no need to fix what's not broken at the very least, and I think it actually looks better if we ever get to look at the character really closely. Alright, so finally done importing a bit corrected version of John. We have proper LOD hands with proper UV maps on them, and like this geometry is just about right for the main character's hands. And the textures are, I think, 2K on the hands, but everything is 4K in the Substance project. Yeah, also I cut around that transparent layer of the hair base, so it's less offensive with its ambient occlusion on the face. Removed the transparent layer of like moisture around the edges of the eyeball, so there's no black line all over the eyeball at the edges. Alright, so we can finally start working. This episode is starting now, a couple of hours later. So what do we start with even? Boots. I want to get rid of these stupid orange details. They're so lame. And overall, we need to cover the boots with the same color, because there's all kinds of lighting that I was capable of applying to the boots from different directions. So we need to choose a color and apply it. So we only need, so far, a color change. And I would even apply that color change with a special blending mode. Yeah, it should be like color. Why is it changing so much of the value though, if it's just color? I mean, hue? It's not really a thing here. Tint? Oh my god. Is this gonna be a problem too? Well, value is the worst one, for sure. I don't get it. Why is color so bright? How is brightness affected by color blending mode? I'm just painting something white. Did I miss something? Did I also apply something else? Like emission? No. How is this color? This is so dumb. In which color space is this just color? Yeah, it's just making everything brighter, even the place where I just picked that color. Oh my god, why are you white? So if something's like saturated, like very saturated orange is like almost white. Any of the three channels, if it's close to white, the resulting color will be white. I guess that's how it is. I guess I can start with adding a filter and just desaturating. We'll see how exactly, but is there a thing like that in here? Saturation filter? This looks like it may help. Ah, you see, when I desaturate this way, orange is not white. Then what the hell was going on with this? Like, I'm just bringing back saturation, and that desaturated heel becomes super white. I guess considering the fact that the boots are a lot less saturated than the dumb... oh my god. The dumb lighting I had, it makes sense to almost completely desaturate them in the first place. So like 50% saturation. Ugh, still hate that the heels become so white. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need to do a lot to the soles here. Forgot about that. Okay, so this works kind of for me. Just created an extra layer, paint layer, and used this darken min mode to just remove the main color without losing too much detail. Since it's considering it so bright, oh my god, what are these colors? Okay, and here it's all different. But yeah, that's, I guess, progress. Alright, this is the closest I ever gotten to making these heels looking decent. Not as simple as I expected it to be, mostly because of the blending modes in Substance Painter working very weirdly. Like color is a mode that's supposed to just change the color, but it's making everything super bright, which is like, it makes it unusable, and that would be the #1 option I would use if I could. Also, yeah, I grouped all the initial set of layers I have here, the initial setup of the material, some adjustments I did to the heel, then I grouped all of it, duplicated it, and the duplicated version that I made, I applied a blur to the normal map, and then used masking to introduce these blurred details where I need them, to remove the messy details I don't need on the normal map. Pretty much that's kind of the only way you can erase a normal map without creating an even worse spot on the mesh. I mean, that's already not good. Maybe because there's UV seams and the same color applied all over the place will be just the wrong one. Because the blur filter doesn't work very well with seams, so I guess that's the reason. Okay, now let's, like, remove the messed up details at the sole. So I'm gonna grab a color. I wonder, it should be, like, gray, right? Everything else is just baked lighting, which is supposed to be removed. So yeah, let's just fill it up like this. It's kind of cool. I forgot, again, that when I'm painting here, it will be overlapping, like actually applying a soft edge of the brush, even outside of the UV seam. But that resulted in this. I'm not sure if I like it. Jesus Christ, camera navigations in so many apps is terrible. Zoom speed, maybe if I increase it, it will feel less terrible. Because it's just, it takes so many movements to get somewhere. I mean, I have a scroll wheel on Torbox. I can use that, but I'm not used to that too much. So yeah, with all the fixes applied, it looks something like this. The soles area looks kind of gray and wrong. I should go darker than that. Oh yeah. Darker is definitely better. I'm still not 100% how to even out the lighting on the white leather here. I did some improvements with like this layer right here, but like not on the global scale, only on the local one. Especially like I removed, like there were specific like shadows from things, and like I erased all of that with this stamping pass-through layer. So that's good. So here's the thing. In Photoshop, we have like these adjustment layers. In here, it's not a thing, but what you can do is you can group all of the layers you've had so far, and I already did that once, and then to that group, you apply a filter. And that's kind of the same as applying an adjustment layer. And my laptop hasn't died yet from that, so it seems like it's an okay approach in this setup here. But yeah, this way you actually can't like apply a mask to this adjustment. So every time you create a group, you need to like duplicate it too. And at the bottom we have an original group, and at the top we'll have a certain filter. And then we use a mask on this group, a black or a white mask. And yeah, you paint over the changes you wanted to see. Color match. It's so not gonna be what I want, right? It's gonna be some weird stuff. Target color. What am I supposed to grab if you fill that all up? Alright, this will do. This filter is called Color Correct. And I can bring down the contrast in the shadows and bring down luminosity at the highlights. So if we just look at the base color, it's turning into something like this. And I mean, I'll need to paint over just on the white leather, of course. That's me trying to change the design a little bit. Interesting, many of these things you think like, oh, it's gonna be easy to fix in texturing. Like, the only thing that keeps me optimistic about all of this is that it seems like it's not dying at all. Like, I can totally do all this live, non-destructive adjustments. Like, there's so many folders inside of folders and blurring filters and everything. All of this is not merged or anything. thing. I mean, it's gonna load forever if I'll try to like open one of those bottom layers and do some changes to them, but you can also just quickly turn off the visibility of the layers on top if you really need to change something down there. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised a little bit how I'm kind of getting away with a lot of very stupid tactics I'm doing here. Like, it's not perfect. I would not recommend doing a character's face like this, for instance. Like, I would say, of course, this is like, you know, the first pass where I'm like cleaning up the data I got from the scan. And it's true, but I feel like I won't be applying too much of like surface material to the whole thing. I kind of almost like what I have already. I'm just changing the design as much as I can, as much as I want to. Okay, so in this pass-through mode, right here, pass-through, if I create a new layer in pass-through mode, so I can use like a stamp brush, which I used extensively just now to do all this, and you can also use this finger tool, like smudge, I assume. Yeah, smudge brush. And for the smudge brush, it's cool to have like a lower flow and position jitter. I thought maybe angle jitter would also work, but it makes, I assume, angles on the normal map all messed up. So without it and just with the position, it blurs just right. So that's pretty cool. Actually, should have used this method instead of duplicating all the layers, applying a blur filter and have like the same blur and everything. This way I can control it way better. So yeah, that's the way to go next time. Yeah, this is like so much more controllable because in many cases, like next to the sharp edge of the boot right here, you really don't want to have like strong radius of blur because it will be like a giant fade that looks terrible. Also, if you remove position jitter and increase flow, you can like push the edges of things a little bit if something's not quite aligned to the low poly version or something like that, you know? That's pretty cool. Dope. This actually worked. I thought, how do I bring back this fold in a curve there's nothing to stamp from? But my crease brush with my whole material does just the thing. Like, it literally creates this exact fold. Should tone it down on the color department. Shouldn't be too black. I mean, it fits just right when it's on the clean place. Oh my god, I finally achieved what I wanted to see. More or less. At least I removed everything that was pissing me off about the design of these boots. Okay, now I'm more or less done here, and I kind of just want to see some extra, maybe texturing on top of what I did. Like, we've got a good base, generally speaking, and this should be repeated here, I guess. Keep forgetting, everything needs to be done twice, actually. I don't think I can, like, work in symmetry, do I? Oh crap, I think I could. I'm not sure, like, it's not always... Yeah, it's totally working. Wasn't always a good idea to do it, but in a few instances I felt like I could use actual symmetry. Well, right now I need to turn it off, though, because the other side is done. I wonder if I can use symmetry while also using a stamp. Whoa, why is it so, like, tilted? Like, the normal map is all differently oriented. Strange. What if I don't use symmetry? It's so weird, it's like it's copying the boot, but at a wrong angle. I wonder why. Okay, this is working better. That's like, for now, I'm just doing this. Maybe later I will altogether replace the texture of the sole with something better, like just an altogether different pattern. But in case I never get to it, I need something finished. Right, so also I assume if I want to adjust, like add an adjustment layer, I don't have to add groups as well. What I can do is also use a pass-through layer. Pass-through layers are the stuff for editing whatever you already have, if you're not just working with procedural things. So I'm gonna add filter to this pass-through layer, and I can add like a mask if I want to remove this effect from certain areas. So it's way better than duplicating and make 2 copies of a group of everything. What did I want? I wanted to do like some kind of levels or something, wasn't it? Yeah, like it's just instead of filters, there's levels. I just wanted them to be darker. So the shininess is pretty lame actually, isn't it? So I'm gonna just adjust that, the roughness. Because yeah, the leather needs to be matte like that, or even more. Not that I need it much, but to make sure I cover everything, or at least I'll be able to control that, I'll keep this white color around for the time being. I won't be working too hard on making sure I follow all the edges well, because having some shinier cavities on the edges is also cool. I mean, I do have, like, I literally have an anchor ready that specifically selects all of the white leather, so I can just go ahead and add that like a fill, and in here anchor point, and this will be, if I'm not wrong, there it is. I mean, again, I don't have to be super flat on this, some shininess will be there. So yeah, I turn off the white color now, and now we just have adjusted that roughness, right? Yeah, there it is. So that's our roughness map. Ah, decent looking boots. Nice. Oh man, didn't expect it to take so much time. I guess that should be the end of this episode, honestly. This was way too long. If anything, I really wanted to add a little bit of an extra effect, since we're gonna just probably end with this. And in the next episode, I'll probably have some progress done. Let's just do the most fun and easy part of Substance, which I rarely get to actually do, but like maybe smart materials even. Also, I'm on freaking hands. I hate that. It's so hard. It's so hard to navigate things, because it's like, it's not just the list of layers, but then there's like a separate object that has a different list of layers. I keep forgetting to check where I'm at. God, it feels so dumb. This app always makes me feel so stupid. Well, that's not very convincing. So yeah, I guess to make this work, like, this is one of those cases where all the maps, the ones that you bake or import, need to be provided. Micro normal, maybe that's what you need. Not so micro. Nothing changed because I need to enable the usage of micro normals. Micro normal. Okay, now you're at least paying attention to something. I remember there was a gradient in here as well, right? Because I want the boots to be dirtier at the bottom, as most things go. Oh, position gradient. So if I apply it, by default is gonna be upside down, of course. Invert. Oh my god. Oh, maybe it's counting from the whole height of the character or something, which would be very stupid. Wait, what? It's like on the inside now or something? What the hell? Oh, maybe there's also like ambient occlusion, right? Yeah, the shadow from the bottom, that's... or from the inside. Don't do ambient occlusion like that. There we go, finally. So, a gradient that works from the bottom. All the confusion was from ambient occlusion. Ambient confusion. Yeah, it's still like super ignoring all the normal maps underneath, so it looks very weird. I'm sure I can improve that though. Worst case scenario, I can just make the normal channel. What are you calculating so slowly? Normal channel to do some of this stuff like this, and finally I have my boot back. Global contrasts. These are very like sharp spots of the dirt. Let's make it softer, right? There we go. Yeah, I need a lot more of that, I think. Actually, you know, I like it a lot. I would remove some of the white parts of the mud. That's if we're talking about the color of it. No, kind of like this. It's not doing any normal mapping. Like, the surface of this dirt is very basic. Also, it's like matte. It's not like it doesn't make sense, but it's like dry dirt. I think I need like a moist dirt. You're calculating a lot for the top layer. But yeah, something like this. This is looking very weird at the bottom there. But of course what we can do is after this mask editor thing, we can add like a paint effect and just add all the dirt wherever we want it to be. Is this thickness actually of... Oh, it's changing the way the dirt is distributed. So it's here. Here's the height. But also, we should apply a certain thing to the normal map. Oh, that's where we have some normal mapping going on. So yeah, note to self. Definitely best to project normal maps really in Substance Painter if you want all of these magical materials to work well. But yeah, I would have a lot more reaction to the things, maybe, because like I did take advantage of that micro detail thing using my normal map that I already had, and I'm pretty sure it's doing the whole thing. The only thing is, yeah, the little ghosts of those glitches from the original normal map are still here. And of course I can like remove them just like that. But wouldn't that be the same problem if I would use a baked detail? Like I did so many adjustments, like so many fixes to the normal maps. Well, not on the boots were not fixed at all, but like these guys, the pants and the jacket had a lot of fixes to the normal maps because of the specifics of the low poly meshes. So yeah, in here I won't have like problems that I'll have to fix all the time, like all those messy elements. And here things are much more clean and prepared, so that'll be better. But maybe I should apply the normal maps generally to the texture set settings here in the mesh maps. Maybe it will benefit me later. But generally, if that doesn't work, I can see how just micro detail works pretty well. You just apply your normal map in there and it works. It's just you kind of have to do it every time you add a smart material. Okay, well, it looks pretty cool to me. I'm not sure if we'll be able to quickly compare, because things are foldered away big time. Like if I remove all of these, we're bringing back some of the stuff, so the dirt layer. But then inside of this, we remove all of that, and inside of this, we remove all of this. And here's the original boots. This setup could be a lot simpler if I would use more of the pass-through layers instead of grouping and duplicating and all that, but it's one way to do it, and working on the next materials, next textures will be much better. So let me, as quickly as possible, enable everything. Oh, these colors, like, pretty good change we got here. Like, it's pretty awesome. I usually love using like all the cavity details here. They should have the specular removed, because right now it all looks like it's a soapy shape that's just glossy the same way. We imply that there are deep, complete holes in between these bits of the zipper, so they shouldn't be shiny. Like this area right here, it looks like this because it's just a texture, but it should look like a complete hole in between, like a very strong hole that doesn't have a soft shape like that. And to make that work, we need to add an actual specular map. Specular level, right? Mostly like it should be based on the normal map, I guess. So we need to just remove that specular. Yeah, like this. And we just need to create a proper mask for it. Was there like a filter, something like normal to height, like curvature, but can you account for the normal map? Because all of that seems to only relate. Yeah, micro detail. There it is. Global blur. Cool, so what I used was a generator, and you select curvature. Curvature is pretty much transforming a normal map, like I use micro normal right here, and I have it enabled. And that is how you can use like a cavity map, and then it's all just the matter of the balance here, the contrast, and yeah, you get to add these details so they would actually look like proper convincing holes instead of looking like a bar of soap. It's always so sharp though. Can I like really soften it? Like the global contrast is at 0, the curvature contrast is at 0. Like what am I supposed to do? But anyway, like, this is quite a help there. Blurring, yeah, blurring is actually making the edge softer, right? Yeah, so we can just do that and then alter the balance a little bit to get that going. And there we have it. Looks pretty convincing to me. Like, from a distance, this looks like strong three-dimensional zipper. Pretty cool. Now back to the dirt though. Okay, that's kind of good enough to me. Alright, well, I'm liking this. I'm liking the result so far. A lot of fun. Modern texturing is definitely a hugely fun thing to do. Looking forward to adding some cool textures of like cloth to the pants and the jacket, as well as maybe adding some seams if I'll figure it out. Also, this cloth material should be different and all that, so that'll be cool to implement and add some dirt and specular mapping and all that. You know what? I'll actually export the textures from the boots. Oh my god, these ugly heels. Look at that. Terrible. How am I wearing this? This is so gross. Base color. Oh my god. Now let's replace everything else because it's still very gross. Alright, cool. The most embarrassing part of the model is replaced, at least to me. I don't know, maybe other stuff is much worse. But this is closer than ever to the final gaming model. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about our progress with the boots. I think it's pretty cool. It's a good thing we started with the boots because it's okay if they're kinda messy. I almost can say they have more detail that they need to have. And yeah, I recovered some of my knowledge and workflow nuances before we move on to something more important. But yeah, this is it. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! Oh my god, I've been watching at this chin in a windproof jacket the whole time. I thought I will be using like a reference for the jacket texturing. Didn't come in handy today. I should have looked at a boot.